If you only knew, Daddy, how bad I feel without you, Vera cried quietly, looking at her father's picture with the black stripe around the edge. Of course, your work was most important to you. Guarding animals, nature, chasing poachers, catching them, protecting the law. And then what happened next? How did it all end, Daddy? As the girl grew older, her mother recounted the details of the man's final days. He caught the poachers, of course there was no license, he gave the case, although he was persuaded to do otherwise, a huge bribe was offered. The officials were too important. After that their career was ruined, apparently they decided to take revenge. A few months later, Stepan went to check on the precinct and was tracked down, shot from afar. A bullet hit him in the back, the killers were never found. And no one wanted us, the woman cried. Vera sat on her bed hugging her teddy bear, whom she called Stipa. She remembered her daddy spoiling her, carving toys out of wood, taking her sledding in the winter, and then going off into another world. It's good for you there, but what about us? She whispered. With each passing year, Vera became more and more aware of what it meant to live without her father. They didn't have any extra money, her mother's salary was spent on the bare necessities. Although they were paid decently as milkmaids on the farm, it was hard for the two of them to live together. "Mammy, why don't you get married again?" asked Vera. "It would be easier for us. I don't need anyone but your daddy." The woman answered briefly. In fact, she was lying. Many times she thought about the fact that the girl needs a father, even if not her own. "Vera, I'm off to the farm, see if the cow has any hay, and sprinkle some millet on the chickens. Clean up the house and make sure the dog is fed. In spring, summer, and fall, I help my mother in the vegetable garden, growing vegetables. That's it, my dear, the school years are behind us. What do you plan to do?" Mother and daughter sat around a modest table. "I don't know, Mammy, maybe I'll follow in your footsteps, also on a farm or in a kindergarten as a nanny." The woman looked at her daughter carefully and suddenly said, "There's nothing for you to do in the countryside, no life prospects." The room became quiet, only the old clock could be heard. "Go to the city, my dear. You'll have more opportunities in the regional center. You'll get a job, and then maybe you'll go to school. I've been saving a little money, enough for the first time, and then you can earn your own money." Dreams of a good job melted away quickly. After a couple of weeks, Vera got a job at a movie theater. She checked the tickets. The salary, of course, was very modest, but she was hired officially. She also watched movies furtively, preferring comedies and melodramas. "Here are our tickets, we want to feel the mysterious atmosphere of magic and movies," the guy in fancy clothes laughed gleefully. "All right, come on in. A number to show you?" Vera asked politely. "Sure, in case we get lost," the joker responded. Vera walked forward and heard behind her. "Wow, that's a good one, it hit on her." "No, that's my lady, I spoke first, so I should get acquainted." She recognized the mocking boyfriend's voice. After the session, he found her and suggested we meet and sit in a cafe. "I don't know what kind of flowers you like, so I bought a bouquet to my taste." Dennis held out a few daisies. "Thank you," Vera was embarrassed. "They are so pretty. Let's go to the car, let's go eat, I'm sure you're insanely hungry." They started dating, and after a couple of weeks they became close. The girl was sure it was serious. After all, he had introduced her to his parents and significant others. Violetta, his younger sister, became a real friend. "Dennis, who is that girl you've been so nice to?" Vera asked when the guy picked her up after work. "What girl?" The young man laughed without the slightest embarrassment. "You're probably mistaken." She believed it, but a spark of doubt was born in her soul. She began to notice that Dennis often smelled of expensive women's perfume. She found traces of lipstick on the collar of her shirt. Once, after waiting for Dennis to leave to pay for gasoline at the gas station, she found lingerie in the glove compartment of her car, obviously not her size. "Honey, what does all this mean?" asked Vera directly when we got home. "Have you fallen out of love with me? Have you found someone else?" "What do you mean, have I fallen out of love?" "I didn't look for anyone, they find me and offer to go out with me." "Well, if something doesn't suit me, then goodbye. I'm not going to change my lifestyle for some country girl." The girl went back to the apartment she had rented before she met Dennis. Life had lost all meaning. She wondered if she should go back to her mother. She was distracted from her dark thoughts by the doorbell. "Hi, I'm visiting, do you mind?" was Violetta, holding a paper bag with the neck of a bottle peeking out. "Shall we sit and chat?" Vera was skeptical about the visit, but it turned out that she was wrong. The girl sharply condemned her brother's behavior, said that she had a fight with him, and declared that she did not want to know him. Why would you do that? Because he's someone close to you. So what, for acting like a scoundrel, breaking up with you? How can you do with such a pure soul man? From that day Violetta often came to visit, stayed overnight. Vera, as a friend, often saw Dennis, and he tried to reconcile, but was refused. Listen, beautiful girl, a wonderful idea has occurred to me. Summer is in full swing. You said you were promised a couple of weeks off. Why don't we go to the sea, splash around in the salt water? The girlfriend suggested as they sat in the cafe. No, that won't work. I was planning to send the money to my mom, so there is nothing to splurge on. Is that the only reason to say no? I guess so. Well, you know, it's not going to work. All right, listen to me carefully. I'll take care of all the expenses, and all you have to do is agree and be cheerful. Please agree, please. I don't want to go alone. Vera realized that she could not refuse and nodded her head. Yay. Her friend shouted loudly. Violetta, I've never ridden in a compartment like this before. There are 2 seats, no one else. How funny you are, of course not. The girls had a wonderful time. The vacation was a success. The sun, the sea, the beautiful city. One day, no longer able to swim, Vera wandered along the beach, choosing beautiful pebbles for her collection, and suddenly noticed that among the pebbles lay an incomprehensible object. She picked it up, and it turned out to be a massive gold ring with the inscription Maxim on it. Violet, look what I found. You know, my dear, her friend looked at the object doubtfully. I don't want to say anything, but things like this bring bad luck. I know it's expensive, but at least don't wear it on your finger. Yes, I will. When we get home, I'll take it to a pawn shop and use the money to buy clothes. Great idea, let's go to the restaurant. Unfortunately, a few days flew by. They had to go home. They found their compartment, settled down, and sadly began to look at the platform. The train moved along, the wheels tapping out a lulling look. Sorry to bother you. Do you happen to have any medication? An elderly woman asked. Riding in the next compartment, my blood pressure is high, and I dropped my pills. Both shook their heads in the negative. You sit down, Violetta suggested. You stay with Vera, and I'll go to the conductor, in case he has medicine. The girl returned in a jiffy, and the grateful neighbor began to tell the cause of her ailment. I was very worried, as otherwise, when I was swimming in the sea, my dead husband's ring slipped off my finger. We had been together for so many years, he died of cancer. So I was wearing it as a remembrance of my husband, and then suddenly my relic was gone. The woman wept bitterly. The girls rushed to comfort her. The most offensive thing is that it was my gift to him for his anniversary. It was signed Maxim. The elderly lady cried. Here Violetta shuddered. She was faced with a choice, to give the woman back the ring she could only dream of, or still to help herself, for she herself was in distress and badly in need of money. The girl, tormented in doubts, had no idea that her choice would be fatal in her whole destiny. Here, look, is it yours? Handed the beach fine to the woman. She looked at the golden ornament in the girl's hands in amazement. My little Christmas tree, how did you get it? And only managed to utter the lady. The friends at once told how it was. I want you to stop worrying. You remind me of my mother. I saw how you cry, even took my breath away. The rest of the way they chatted. The older lady insistently asked for Varen's phone number. The girls got off at their station, and the train went on. It so happened that their neighbor lived in a nearby regional center, but the friends decided that they would not meet again. Vera went out to work, where news awaited her. The director of the movie theater decided that the girl was ripe for another position, and appointed her as an administrator. One day she was invited into the foyer. Vera Stepanovna, there's a man asking for you. Yes, what do you want? Thank you from the bottom of my heart for not being indifferent to my mother's grief, the man pronounced. I am so grateful to you. My mother took my father's death very badly, and now she's lost so much. And you are an angel, I have no other words. No, I didn't do anything special. I came especially to thank you. Accept these humble flowers, and held out a large bouquet of roses. May I take you out to dinner? At the restaurant, he told me about himself, the late child of a family of scientists. His parents had decided that the heir would bear his father's name. So Maxim Maximovich, in memory of Dad. Vera listened to him, and suddenly felt that she penetrated sympathy for a complete stranger. You know, it's late, I have to go to the station, he said goodbye. Can I ask you a favor? Try me, the girl smiled sweetly. Mother would very much like you to come and visit us. I'll pay for the trip, of course. You just agree. I'll think about it and call you, Vera said as she left. After a year of mutual trips, she and Maxim decided to get married. How much riding back and forth can you do? The man cried out with feigned indignation. And Mama's worried, really wants you to live with us. He was quiet, pulled himself together, and whispered in the girl's ear. Dreams of going for walks with her grandchildren, tells me every time how she will spend time with them. And I really wanted to be like that.